In the quiet lull of a mid-morning shift, a young waitress named Casey worked tirelessly in a small-town diner nestled just off the highway. The place wasn't anything fancy, linoleum floors, clinking dishes, and the low hum of conversations, but it was home for many regulars and travelers alike. Casey, a 23-year-old waitress, worked double shifts nearly every day. She wasn't chasing dreams of wealth or fame. She was trying to make ends meet, supporting her ailing mother and paying off her younger brother's school expenses. Casey had learned to keep her smile intact even when exhaustion tugged at her every step. She offered kindness without expecting it in return. Her coworkers often joked about her being too soft-hearted, especially when she'd give away a free coffee or slip an extra muffin onto a plate. But for Casey, a little kindness cost far less than indifference. It was on an unusually chilly Thursday morning that a man walked into the diner holding his daughter's hand. His clothes were worn, his face lined with worry, and his eyes darted around as if the weight of the world pressed down on his shoulders. The little girl, around 6 or 7, wore a hand-me-down jacket that was 2 sizes too big and clutched a battered teddy bear in one hand. Casey noticed them immediately. She'd seen their kind before. Not their kind, in judgment, but in empathy. People who had been dealt a rough hand, trying to hold themselves together with dignity. She walked up to them with her usual smile, offered them a seat near the window, and handed them menus. The man glanced at the prices, then leaned down to whisper something to his daughter. Her face fell a little, but she nodded. Casey caught it. Years of reading people had taught her to pick up on unspoken conversations. "Coffee for you, sir?" she asked gently, and he hesitated. "Just water, if that's okay," he said quietly. Casey nodded. "Of course, but it's cold out. I'll bring you a hot coffee on the house," she said with a wink. "You look like you could use it." The man blinked. "No, really, it's just coffee," Casey interrupted kindly. "It's nothing." When she returned, she placed a cup in front of him and a small hot chocolate for the little girl, topped with whipped cream and a drizzle of chocolate syrup. She hadn't asked for it, but Casey had made it herself. The girl's eyes lit up, and for a moment, the weight on the man's shoulders seemed to ease. They ended up sharing a single pancake between them. The man insisted on paying for that one plate with some crumpled bills, and Casey didn't protest. She could have comped the whole thing, but she knew sometimes people needed to feel like they'd paid their way. They stayed for about an hour, the little girl drawing smiley faces on a napkin with a borrowed pen while her father sipped the coffee slowly, as though trying to make it last. Casey checked on them a few times, never prying, just offering refills and warm smiles. When they left, the man paused by the counter. "Thank you," he said, voice thick with emotion. "You have no idea how much this meant today." Casey just nodded. "Take care of each other." And that was it, or so she thought. 3 days later, the diner buzzed with unusual energy. The manager, a stern woman named Linda, called Casey over with an expression she rarely wore: surprise. "There's someone asking for you out front," Linda said. "And you might want to wipe your hands." Casey stepped outside, wiping her palms on her apron, only to see a sleek black SUV parked in front. Standing next to it was a sharply dressed man, clean-shaven, with a confident smile. He looked familiar, but she couldn't place him. "Hi," he said, walking up. "Do you remember me?" It took her a second, and then her eyes widened. The same man from 3 days ago, now clean, polished, and looking nothing like the struggling father she had met. "You look different," she said, blinking in confusion. He laughed. "Yeah, I clean up pretty well. Sorry for the surprise. My name is David. David Reynolds." The name sounded vaguely familiar, but it wasn't until he handed her a business card that it clicked. David Reynolds, the tech entrepreneur who had sold his startup for millions a few years ago. His name had been in the news. A millionaire, maybe more. "I was traveling incognito," he said, as if reading her thoughts. "Had a bit of a self-imposed exile. Wanted to disappear for a while. See the world without being seen. I donated most of my belongings, cut ties, took my daughter and just lived simply for a while. But we ran into some real trouble last week. Ran out of money. I lost access to some of my accounts due to a tech mishap, and we were stuck. No cash, no cards. You were the first person who showed us kindness." No questions asked. You didn't make us feel like charity. You treated us like human beings. Casey was speechless. David continued, I never forgot that feeling. So I came back. I wanted to do something for you. He stepped aside, and out from the SUV stepped his daughter, now in a clean coat and holding a gift-wrapped box. Hi Miss Casey, she said shyly. Thank you for the hot chocolate. Casey smiled, blinking back tears. You're welcome, sweetheart. Inside the box was a letter, and a check. A check for $50,000. Casey gasped. I can't take this. It's too much. It's not even close to enough, David said softly. You didn't just give us coffee. You gave me a reminder that people are good. That kindness still exists. You helped me see what matters. I want to help you now. Take care of your family. Go back to school if you want. Or start something of your own. You deserve that. The story didn't end there. Word of the encounter spread, first among locals, then through social media. Someone who had overheard the exchange posted about it, and within days, national news outlets picked up the story. Casey's life changed almost overnight. She was invited on talk shows, where she humbly repeated her mantra, it was just coffee. She refused to glorify herself. I've had tough times too. I've been in spots where someone helping me changed my whole day. Sometimes the smallest things have the biggest impact. I didn't do anything special. I just did what I hope someone would do for me. But to many, it was special. In a world that often feels disconnected, where cynicism too often drowns out compassion, her simple act reminded people of what it means to be human. David and Casey stayed in touch. He became a mentor of sorts, helping her understand finances, business, and self-worth. With his guidance, and her own hard work, Casey eventually opened a cafe of her own in that same town. She called it the Kind Cup, and its motto, written in elegant script on the wall, read, kindness is never wasted. She hired people who needed second chances, single parents, students, formerly incarcerated individuals looking to restart their lives. The cafe became a beacon in the community, a place where people came not just for food but for connection. And that one small cup of coffee, it became a symbol. In interviews, David would often say, we talk a lot about investments in startups and markets, but the best investment I ever made was in a stranger's coffee. It changed my life. Casey never let the attention get to her head. She remained grounded, still working shifts, still remembering everyone's orders and birthdays. She'd tell people, you don't have to be rich to make a difference. You just have to care. And so the story of the waitress and the millionaire wasn't just about generosity or chance. It was about the power of unseen moments. About how we never know who we're serving, who we're helping, or what that single gesture of compassion can unlock. It was about how, sometimes, a small act of kindness can echo louder than all the noise in the world.